the train, jumping across all the cars, till the hobo throws him into the coal car right before entering a tunnel. The hobo fucking evaporates while doing that. The kid exits the coal, not dirty at all somehow. How the fuck is this little shit not doing blackface right now? I'm serious. How is he so clean? Whatever. It's just as good probably because he sees the pigtail girl in the engine car because the conductor took her over here and the engineers taught her how to sort of drive the thing, taught her a few of the controls and stuff while they go out to change the light bulb in front. If he was taking her to the front of the train, why the fuck did he go backwards and climb on top and go that way? What the fuck? That's literally retarded. Whatever. Bald, fat, troglodyte engineer changes the light bulb and sees some shit up ahead, so he yells at the girl to stop the train because he's a fat ass motherfucker that got stuck. And she uses the knowledge she got from train engineer training to identify the brake lever, and the kid pulls it. They stop the train right before hitting a herd of caribou. What? Caribou? Never heard that word before. I think it's just deer. Might be a synonym, doesn't matter. The conductor comes to the front really pissed because now they're gonna be late, but they accidentally discover that yanking on the ginger engineer's beard makes him yell in a way that makes the caribou get off the track, so they very slowly proceed forward once they all clear the tracks. Why did the ginger have to suffer though? Couldn't he have just asked him to yell in the same tone? You fucking dicks. Whatever. They start moving ahead very slowly, and the kid's still on the front of the train with the conductors because that's a smart idea. What a great and safe place to keep them. Then the throttle arm, I'm pretty sure, is stuck open somehow. It's like jamming, can't move backwards. The guy keeps trying to pull it back, but then the pin holding it in, sort of the linkage part, falls out, and the train starts accelerating uncontrollably. They go down roller coaster like steep bits, then onto a part of the track that sort of got flooded by some water and frozen over, so the tracks are frozen over and they start sliding all over the ice. They hit a small iceberg, the train almost flips over, and the tree out front almost falls off, but the hobo goes, saves them, and then disappears. The pin gets lost and fucking flinged out the train, hits a patch of ice, then the ginger dude takes the pin out of his hair and fixes the linkage, and somehow now it's functioning completely fine, and they slow it down and they're able to stop the train. I fail to see how that fixes the issue. The pin not being all the way in there the first time was not the main cause, I believe, because it's just the thing holding the arm in there. It's not the thing that's like preventing it from having its full range of motion, but whatever. The train is stopped now because the old pin flew out and hit the ice and started doing an ice age scrap move, causing cracks in the ice and forcing them to move or they get fucked and fall to the water. So the engineers slam into reverse and somehow pull a sick fucking J-turn and start Tokyo drifting the whole goddamn train. They keep lining it up with the tracks on the other end by breaking each bank of wheels individually till they finally make it back on the tracks by the end of this whole ordeal, which is utterly bullshit. This whole sequence was from the train simply not falling to the ice when it slammed into it and having any grip on ice whatsoever to the J-turn. And I'm not a steam locomotive expert or anything, but I'm pretty sure you can't break each side of the wheels individually like that. But in all fairness, it does seem from this shot that both sides are breaking together, so I might be wrong here. Also, in all fairness, I still don't think that that has any way of steering this big metal snake full of people in the right direction. However, it's a magical fucking train taking the kids from fucking Illinois or Michigan, I think, or wherever the fuck they were, to the North Pole, so who cares. Kid gives the girl her ticket, and the conductor does this fancy ticket punching thing and starts to take him back to the car with the other kids. This time going through the cars, not on top of them. But why, bro? Why no outside of the train this time? Why not walk on the side like fucking Spider-Man, you stupid conductor, fucking bitch? Whatever. The car right behind the coal car is full of crusty old unused toys. The boy trails behind them and gets scared by an Ebenezer Scrooge marionette controlled by the hobo ghost, and then runs away from it scared into the other car. Four Eyes Kid starts yapping about some random shit again, so he just ignores them and goes to the last car where the girl went to spy on fucking Monkey Ears child who's on the edge of the car singing, and she surprises him and joins in to sing with him. But fuck them kids, I have a question. Aren't there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passenger cars in this train? If they are on the last one right now, and the one right after the coal car is the one with all the creepy toys, then how did Blue Rope Kid fucking skip 2 whole cars and get to the second to last car with all the other kids? Did Home Doc fucking teleport? Whatever. Black Girl and Ape Ears finish their duet. The kids see the Aurora Borealis, which means they're nearing the North Pole, or basically in it, because the conductor points at Santa Claus City, or whatever it's called. They enter this magical elfical place, and it's completely empty of anything else because the elves are all going to the city center to see Santa give the first gift of Christmas to one of these kids that are on the train. He's gonna pick one of them at random and give him the first gift of Christmas. It's a fucking whole big thing. They get to the city center square, unload all the kids into 2 lines, but the last Ape Ears kid doesn't get off, so the girl and Blue Rope Kid go up there to try and get him down there so he can enjoy Christmas and whatnot. But while getting up there, the kid accidentally unlatches the last car from all the other cars, and they go up there to try to convince him to get down, like, come on, get down there, it's Christmas, the Santa's there. He's like, Christmas just never works out for me. Fucking calm down and stop being a bitch. But then the last car starts rolling down the hill, sliding away from the rest of the train, and no one notices this. They keep sliding down into town, and Blue Rope Kid tries to stop the train using a new style brake that the hobo hinted towards. Then they go into a tunnel and end up on a spinning platform that's like a train junction where you pick which rail you want to go onto. The girl hears a bell coming from a tunnel, but Blue Rope Kid does not hear it, and she decides that that's the where they should go because that's probably a bell from Santa's sleigh. They balance beam on the rails and make it through the tunnel. When they get to the other end, it's like an alleyway between buildings. Then they get to another smaller tunnel, and the girl wants to go through it, but Blue Rope Kid is like, are you sure that's the way? And she goes, fuck you. Am I the only one that thought that that part was unnecessarily dramatic? Doesn't matter. They get in there, go through it, and on the other end they get into a like factory, and there's some last few elves working who are judging the last few kids on whether they are nice. They're led by this Napoleon elf. Why are the kids on TV's real human childs and not animated ones? Who cares? They finish judging this child, and then they get into the pneumatic chute to get to the square as fast as possible because it's the fastest way. The kids overhear that. Once they're gone, they hop into the pneumatic as well. But the girl presses the middle button, unlike the elves who press the very right button, which leads the pneumatic train to shoot them over to the gift wrapping part of this factory. They bounce along the conveyor belt and get to another section where the gifts are like rolled out, and it starts operating again because one more gift is being shot out that is addressed to this kid who we found out is called Billy. He jumps after it, and they enter the next part, which is an amusement park slip and slide deal thing that leads them into a funnel that leads onto a big pile of gifts. They get onto that, then that pile moves. A big red sack is draped around it. It gets airlifted out, and they start flying towards the big Christmas tree. But then Billy starts getting pulled down into the toys, so they pull him back up and find out that a nerdy little fucking four-eyes kid is attached to him. He was there because he wants to check on his presents. How the fuck did he get there? Did he follow them? I didn't see him in any of the scenes. Also, why the fuck is he tugging on the kid's legs? What is the point? Whatever. They start nearing the Christmas tree, and the elves release some gas out of the balloons to lower down Santa's nutsack onto his fucking sleigh. But then the conductor yells that they're too low and might hit the tree, so they shed some weight by dropping some fucking Navy SEAL elves. Here's an idea. Why not go around the tree, you fucking retards? Whatever. The Navy SEAL elves parachute off into the crowd, but that's not enough because they hit the star and knock it off, so they send out SEAL Team 11 to bungee jump down and save it, put it back on, and start lowering the sack down onto the sleigh, find the kids inside and kick them out back to their roots. The elves roll out some reindeer and hook them up to the sleigh, then get out the jingle bells and hook them up to the reindeer. Blue Robe Kid can still not hear any of these bells, and the girl's like,
Aren't those bells the most beautiful sound?
no, actually they sound god-awful annoying as hell. Anyway, everyone keeps hyping up Santa's grand entrance like it's a fucking Drake concert. He comes out, everybody collectively loses their shit. Blue Robe Kid yells that he cannot see him, although the other kid, the shorter one, fucking satellite dish ears, is yelling that he can. So, fuck logic, right? Short one can see, tall one can't. The fuck? Whatever though. He keeps struggling to get a good look at the big man. Then a bell flies off the reindeer and lands right next to him. He picks it up and shakes it. He still can't hear anything. Then he goes, fine, I believe. And he finally hears something come up. Then Santa, who's also voiced by Tom Hanks, shows up behind him. He's like, what's up, bruh? While the annoying fucking actually kid is like, ooh, pick me for the first gift, please, please pick me, man. Yeah. Shut the fuck up. And he goes over to Sleigh and picks Blue Robe Boy to give the first gift of Christmas to, sits him on his lap, and the kid tells him what he wants, and apparently he wants the fucking bell of everything you could have got. You could have got a fucking new PS5, dumbass, or PS1, whatever the fuck you had at the time, I don't know. Anyway, kid gets the bell, time finally unfreezes it, and it's time for Santa to fly off and deliver all the gifts to the millions of kids all over the world. He takes off, flies around a bit, then enters a wormhole. The elves party, the kids get back on a train with the conductor punching their tickets completely, finishing the words on them, and each kid is supposed to have a lesson on their ticket. Four Eyes goes, this says lean. It says learn, dipstick. Now get on the fucking train. Honestly, that's a pretty stupid lesson to give that kid, because doesn't he learn enough? Isn't he a know-it-all in this movie? Wouldn't a better lesson be humility or whatever fucking Santa told him? Whatever. Billy Big Ears gets a very special ticket that has multiple words on it that change all the time, that says depend on, rely on, all that sort of stuff, telling him that he can depend on other people. Rosa Parks gets the word lead, saying that she can be a leader and be more confident in herself, and Blue Robe Kid gets the word believe, saying that he should believe in stuff more and whatnot. He gets on the train and finds out that he lost the bell because he put it in the pocket that was ripped and it fell out, but it's too late to go look for it now because it's already started moving. He's pretty bummed about that, but it is what it is, and once they get back to the mainland, I guess, and drop everybody off at their houses one by one, he gets off at his house and says goodbye to the conductor. The conductor says this:
One thing about trains, it doesn't matter where you're going. What matters is deciding to get on.
that is the most retarded piece of nonsense advice I've ever heard in my entire life, because whether or not you get onto a train completely depends on where the fuck it's going, you dumbass. What if you end up getting on a train that you don't know goes to hell, you stupid cocksucker? Whatever. Kid gets into his house, he goes up to bed, then is woken up in the morning by his sister telling him that Santa was here, so he rushes out of bed and tries to put on his robe, but rips it in a very deja vu way. Then he gets down there, they unwrap all their presents, but find one last small gift that is for him. He opens it and it's the fucking bell that Santa gave him and a note from the big man himself. He and his sister can hear the bell, but his parents can't because they are non-believers, and eventually when they grow up, his sister stops hearing the bell, but he never stopped believing, so he never stopped hearing it. So was it a dream or was it not? I'm still on that question, bro, and I'm very confused here. It doesn't matter though. This movie gets 10 Chryslers out of 8 heated blankets. I finally finished playing Alien Isolation on my second channel after literal years. I'll link the playlist of all the videos in the description and up here if you want to watch it. And to celebrate this amazing accomplishment, I'm going to make a video about one of the movies that spawned this wretched game. So without further ado, welcome to Alien. Let's start with a really long intro sequence of the word alien being spelled out. Finish up, we know what the word is. No one here walked into this movie not knowing what the name of the movie is. Come on, we all know. Go on, please, faster. Finish the fuck up, come on. The Nostromo, a commercial towing mining space vessel ship, is making its way through space going back to Earth with a crew of 7 on board who get woken up by the ship from hypersleep. They freshen up, eat, smoke, play with their cat. Smoking in outer space is ridiculous and no space science astronaut person would ever allow this because it's insane. Plus, you have an orange cat on board. Ask any cat person, that's the most destructive, unpredictable, retarded type of cat there is, and it's probably more of a hazard to the spaceship than smoking. But anyway, Cam goes to consult with Mother, she's like mission control or something like that for this whole operation. Goes into this place that looks like an inside-out Death Star to consult with her and find out that they are nowhere near planet Earth. The rest of the crew finds that out as well, and he tells them that Mother has diverted them away to go investigate a planet that sent out a distress signal nearby, which is something they're contractually obligated to do. And after some of them go a little bit like this,
Dad, we promised Morty a dragon.
they eventually all go over to the planet and take a smaller ship to go investigate the message from the unknown life form on that planet. When they have sort of a rough landing, which damages a little bit of the ship, so the 2 mechanics of the ship, Black Dude and Hat Guy, start fixing it, while Captain, Generic White Bitch, and Short-Haired Female get into spacesuits to go investigate the source of the signal and see what's up. Chief Science Officer, or Medbay Guy, because I'm guessing he's the designated medic on board, is in charge of communications with the fleet on the spacewalk, while Ripley, the main character, is chilling deciphering the distress signal. The spacewalkers make it to an alien ship which they identify as the source of the signal, and when they get closer they lose signal with Medbay Guy, whose name is Ash. They enter the spaceship, see a dead fossilized alien with a broken open chest. The female exclaims that they should get out of here, and that's the second time she does that, yet the sexist male pigs don't listen to her. For fuck's sake, you got lucky and got a woman that isn't retarded for once in these movies. Listen to her, stupid bitches. Anyway, the dumbass men find a hole and decide to rappel down that to see what's down there, while Ripley tells Ash that the message got partially deciphered using sci-fi bullshit and it's not an SOS, it's more of a warning signal. She wants to go out and get them, but he's like, nah baby chill, which is stupid, but it turns out he's an android humanoid robot thing with an ulterior motive, so can't really nitpick that. What I can nitpick though is what the 2 retards and 1 smart female are doing on a spacewalk in that fucking alien ship. They send Generic White Guy down using a rope, and he finds a bunch of leathery eggs with alien life inside, and instead of going, oh shit, gotta scoot, he's like, I'm gonna touch it. Yeah. I cannot begin to describe how big of a bozo move that is. Put yourself in the same thing, or fuck it, you don't even have to be in space. Just imagine you're in a remote cave in Africa or some shit. You find 1 singular egg that's half your size. No sane human being is gonna think to stay and finger fuck that shit, okay? In that situation, you run. And this is a highly trained, highly smart and stable astronaut as they're supposed to be. Unless in this movie's universe they let anybody be an astronaut, then that's different. Also, similarly, it could be very normal in this movie's universe to have astronauts go check out alien life forms and shit. But it doesn't change the fact that it's a stupid thing, and whoever allowed it to go through or become a rule or whatever should be shot. Anyway, Retard inspects one of the eggs very closely. It opens up and a facehugger lunges at him, goes through his visor and latches onto his face. Captain and short-haired girl carry him back to the ship and contact Ripley, who's next in command, if the captain is not on board. They tell her what the dealio is, and she refuses to let them in because it's protocol to quarantine them for 24 hours for decontamination when a situation like this arises. They keep going back and forth with the let us in, the nose, and the command, and eventually Ash manually overrides the door and lets him in. They take the dude over to the med bay, take the suit off of him, and wasn't he wearing something underneath his helmet, like a balaclava thing? Shouldn't the facehugger be wrapped around it? Where is it? Why is it gone? But lots of good suggestions are made on how to deal with him, but they're all shot down by Ash because he's a cool, and instead he shoves them into a scanner along with the thing on his face. It scans him and determines that that thing has a massive cock down his throat that feeds him oxygen into his lungs. It has him in a coma, but it's sort of also keeping him alive, so if they take it off he might die, and that's what he says. But Captain makes the decision to take it off his face anyway, despite the risks involved. They're gonna do that by cutting off his digits and ripping it off his face. However, once he starts taking a knife to its skin, the little sucker starts breathing acid that rips through the floor and almost burns a hole through the whole ship. So it ate through the floor of the ship plus 3 more floors, but the guy's hand is fine. Then he put his hand over it to stop the bleeding with a piece of cloth. Whatever though, they let Ash run tests on the creature that's stuck on his face and just leave the guy like that. Obviously, if it were up to me, I'd have thrown that guy out of the ship a long time ago, but I'm only saying that because I did this whole thing backwards and played the game first before watching the movie. Ripley goes to check on Ash, somehow entering the med bay without opening the door, or at least opening the door very quietly, so they get startled, and she asks him what he found out about the creature, and he tells her that it's a pretty tough little piece of shit that can be killed very easily, and she's like, yeah, and you let it in. Starts busting his chops about doing that, disobeying a direct order from her, and disobeying a very strict protocol for quarantining this shit. Keeps going, what do you want me to do? You want me to leave him outside like that, blah blah blah, and then he goes, you do your job and let me do mine. She was, you android fuck, you're the one that wasn't doing that job and was doing her job instead, fucking hypocritical bitch. Why isn't Ripley more angry at this line? She just leaves, so does he. And when he eventually comes back, he finds out that the facehugger is no longer hugging the face of that generic white bitch. So he calls over Ripley and the captain to look for her inside the room, and they keep the door open for a whole 20 seconds unattended, giving the thing more than enough time if it were alive to scuttle its way out of there. Plus, they didn't even turn on the lights while looking for it. What kind of scuffed ass retarded astronauts are these people? Whatever, thing eventually falls on Ripley dead from the ceiling. They inspect this presumed lifeless carcass. Ripley wants to get rid of it, Ash doesn't, he wants to keep it and bring it back to Earth. The captain is indifferent, just wants to leave his planet, so he leaves a little decision up to Ash, and Ripley gets really mad at him for that. Well, they leave Ash alone to finger fuck that thing on her experiments on it or whatever. The ship gets fixed enough for them to take off and leave this godforsaken planet. They get back to the bigger ship, have another meeting with the rest of the crew minus Ash, where they calculate they have 10 months before they get back to Earth, and the captain makes a decision to put Kane, the generic white dude that was sucking on a facehugger's dick for a while, in quarantine, because at the moment he's still very much in a coma, unconscious, and probably infected with something really bad, so they want to put him in quarantine. Or is he? You back home. Because Ash calls everyone over to see that Kane has woken up and seems fine. They do a total of like one check where they ask him, yo, are you okay? And he's like, I guess. So they celebrate him being fine by having a big meal together. But then he starts freaking out and screaming, flailing around. They hold him down. Blood bursts out of his chest and another baby alien xenomorph off of his chest and bolts off into some random direction. Hey, dipshits, you know, because someone says they're fine or seems they're fine on the outside doesn't mean they're actually fine. You know, there's lots of people walking around feeling and looking fine but actually have stage 17 super cancer. The decision of putting him in quarantine should have still stood even if he was awake. Plus, did you do any checks at all on him other than asking him if he was okay? I for sure know you didn't put him in that scanning machine, because if you did, you would have seen a 15-inch dildo-shaped thing inside of him. Whatever. They conduct a space burial for Kane where they yeet his body off into space. Then they rig up a few of these electrocution sticks and a motion sensor or motion sensors. I don't know if they made more than one. I don't care. Then they split up in two groups of 3, each armed with a net to try and catch this little fucker. Like that'll do anything. The little vibrator-shaped alien had enough power to burst out of a human ribcage. You think that net's gonna do anything, you fucking idiots? These are the worst astronauts ever, man. Get a metal bucket or something. I know for sure later on you show us that you have a cage for the cat. Why don't you get that, you dumb bitches? Oh, fuck this, man. Ripley and the two mechanics go searching one place, detect some motion in this hatch, find out it's just Joe and Kikatito, and dipshit hat guy lets it get away. They tell him he's retarded for doing that because now the cat can just show up again on their motion detectors, and they had to catch him anyway, so they tell him to go get him on his own, which is ironically more retarded of them to do, because the whole point of them going in groups is now nullified by you doing this, you fucking idiots. He could get caught and fucked by the, as far as you know, highly dangerous alien, which is what happens actually. After wandering around with them and finding the cat, he also finds a used condom, which is actually the shed skin of that tiny alien, and when he actually goes to get the cat, the now grown and massive alien drops behind him and fucking rips him in the ass. The cat just sits there unfazed and watches, because that's what cats do. Ripley and Black Dude, freaking Jamal or whatever, apparently caught a glimpse of the alien sucking him up into the air ducts, and they figure that the alien is using the air ducts to move around, and they report that back to the rest of the crew. Jamal rigs up a few flamethrowers because most animals are afraid of fire, so why wouldn't this one be? The captain goes off to consult and take advice from Mother on how to deal with this situation, but all she got is some shit along the lines of don't know and don't care, you're on your own. So the captain decides to go into the vents and sort of shoot and force the alien using the flamethrower into a vent that leads to an airlock so they can shoot it out into space as well. While the rest of the crew stays behind and locks all the airlocks behind him after he clears them and tracks his position and the alien's position on the motion detector. He goes up into the vents, lights it up a few times to check that the alien's not there and sort of shoot away. They close the hatches behind them, but eventually the alien